Picture this. One of your senior leaders walks in, says, I think there's a relationship breakdown between us, so I would like to move on. Would you be surprised? Or you're the kind of person who say, I saw it coming? Hi, and welcome to my Workplace Dynamics podcast. And today, I'm reflecting on two dimensions which, in my view, has sort of caught my eye when I reflected on many such resignations which happened on my watch. So ask myself, other than the fact that somebody has got a better offer, really better offer, great money, which is tangible, visible to us, what else could have caused this resignation? And the two things that stood out for me, the topmost was what I said before, relationship breakdown. And the second one, what I call as the loss of identity. Let me start with the relationship breakdown. I know it's easy to sort of decipher this, but when you look at the factors of relationship breakdown, many things happen behind this. There's a one-off, let's say, outage. Let's say you shouted at your reportee in a public meeting. But unless it's a one-off, I think they will know that this is not a usual occurrence. But when I reflected on some of the relationships that I think must have broke down, it was a series of things that came to my eye. With the set of individuals that I thought relationship was a breakdown as a cause, I saw that over a period of time, our relationship has become more transactional, functional. We're together, we worked long periods of time together, but then we didn't really reflect on whether this was working, one. Two, there were many areas in which possibly I would have ignored how they had performed, or maybe even forgotten to even recognize. So I think it's one part of it. And two, how relevant they have become in the new scheme of things as far as the organization context is concerned. Because at the end of the day, when we are hiring an individual, they have come with their own identity when they are joining us, and they were very important while we hired them. But over a period of time, in a large organization which scales up, maybe certain parts that I didn't do well, or they didn't do well with me from a relationship point. If a relationship has a whole lot of routines, if you're relating to the family that where we all come from every day at home, there's so many things we do knowingly, unknowingly, which renews the relationship. At work, over a period of time, as the organization scales up, some of these relationships get broken down. And it reaches a point where we feel all it requires is a one spark to say, I'm done. The second factor which stayed with me in terms of what breaks down, for somebody to, let's say, to look for another job, is a loss of identity. It may be easier for you to relate to this when I talk through it. First is, let's say, you've been a top performer. You've been consistently performing. And wherever you went, within the organization, that was your identity. And as you and I know, performance is not something which sticks with us all the time. There are ups and downs to it. And let's say a few quarters, your performance was not up to the expectations of the organization. They may not be saying anything loud to you, but that was your identity. So whichever forums you went to, whichever town halls they were talking about, you realized that your identity as a performer is no longer there. Organizations have brilliant ways of reminding that to you. They'll send you dashboards, they do town halls, and more than anything else, they'll recognize the current top performer. That itself is, in a way, insulting and also creates that loss of identity. In founder promoter-driven organizations, especially if you have been there from the startup phase, it's even more prominent. Imagine you think about, we are 5 people. We are part of even naming this company. We bought this furniture. There's so many memories associated with how and when we were small. And let's say the organization scales up. In the new organization, maybe different set of people have become more important. New employees who arrived have become more important. That is the time when you feel that loss of identity. Who I was to this company and where I've now been or how I've treated today. Then that's the second dimension. The third, which possibly is widely also experienced, is when there's a new leader. When there's a new leader, one, the ability to relate to the new leader is a challenge. Two, the new leader brings in, let's say, a whole lot of changes, which makes you feel, this is who I was in this organization. Now, I'm not the same person, either with respect to the new leader or to the changes the new leader has brought in. So loss of identity again. But then think about this. If anybody comes to a job interview and tells you, I'm leaving my earlier employer and I want to join your organization, the key reason besides my skill match, the role match, I like the brand, is because I had a relationship breakdown in my previous employer. How will that look? Will you consider that person? So very rarely, at least I have found people telling in the interviews, I have a relationship breakdown. So I want to pursue newer options. So thank you for tuning into my Workplace Dynamics podcast once again. Let me know what you think about these two dimensions of quitting an organization, the relationship breakdown and the loss of identity.